Now friends, one last thing that I want to mention, and it has to do with the purpose of this whole good golf swing thing, and that is, like we talked about earlier, it's designed to hit targets, primarily fairways and greens. That's how you know if your golf swing is any good. It's, are you hitting targets? But we also want to appreciate that we do that by means of producing a consistent ball flight. Now typically, when you're talking about ball flight, you're usually talking about three different ball flights. You've got your counterclockwise, which would be more of a draw for a right-hander. Then you've got your straight ball, which is pretty much pure backspin. And then you've got your clockwise rotation, which is more of a left to right for a right-hander. So as instructors, we deal with all three of them. And the idea here is that we need to use one of those three to hit greens with. In other words, our swing has to produce a ball flight that will make the ball go to the target. And I hope that makes sense. So the idea here is, what kind of ball flight are we looking for? Now, in my own personal opinion, for a new player, and those of you that know me know that we don't go straight very often. Reason being is because straight is just such an inconsistent, ambiguous type of ball flight. Better players usually draw or fade the ball on a consistent basis. The real good players can work the ball back and forth, but primarily what we're understanding is that we don't really want straight. Now granted, when you take lessons and when you are working with a professional, they will usually humor you and allow you to hit a straight ball, but the idea here is at some point or another we need to introduce you to the concept of working the ball or ball flight. And for a right-hander, especially a new right-hander, usually, at least in my schools, I'm going to encourage a draw, and I'll tell you why. I'd say 80% of my students slice, and granted that keeps me in business, but the idea here is that the slice is the one that's causing the problem. And the slice is right next door to a fade. So for a better player, that's not a problem. But for a newer player, that's a headache because they spend a lot of time in people's backyards looking for balls, people's kitchens, apologizing for breaking their windows. You get the message. So the idea here is we want a ball flight that is consistently productive. And for a new player, or for a right-hander, that's going to be a draw, or counterclockwise. For a left-hander, that's going to be a draw clockwise rotation. But a lot of us feel that as beginners, if we can introduce you to this concept of producing a right to left or a left to right ball flight from the get-go, it makes the whole process go earlier. Because where this leads to is, once we learn to appreciate the value of spin, then we understand that we can learn to work the ball, just like the guys and gals you see on TV. If you need to hit a hook or a fade or a slice or whatever, you have that formula so that you can create or fabricate those shots at will. The best illustration I can give you is that of a pool player. I don't play pool, I'm not very good at it at all. And if you watch me, it's kind of funny because I just take the stick, and usually there's some kind of cold beverage involved, but I just try to push the ball around the table and hope something goes in. But if you watch a good player, they don't do that. A good pool player puts English on the ball, and actually they can make that ball do whatever they want to. And they learn to understand and appreciate that the spin is what allows them to control the ball flight. Well, we're no different. We're trying to produce a consistent ball flight by means of a productive or repetitive golf swing. Well, the ball flight that we need to be looking for should probably have some right to left or left to right. Now let me explain that, because there's a reason we don't like straight, and here's the idea. One, it's the hardest shot to hit because the backspin, the club face has to be absolutely perfectly square to produce a straight ball flight. But also, you have no idea where your misses are going to go. And I'm going to repeat that. If you hit it great, it's going to go right where you aimed it. But if you miss it, you have no idea where it's going to go. It can go right, it can go left, it can go all over the place. Now, on the other hand, let's say you have the world's biggest slice. And on good days, it doesn't slice so much, but it always curves one way. Well, that actually puts you in an advantage because you know two things. You know, A, where the ball's going to go if you hit it, great. And B, you know where the ball's not going to go if you don't. In other words, if it constantly curves left to right, you never have to worry about anything on the left side of the hole. Now think about that. One player only knows where the ball's going to go if they hit it well. The other player knows where it's going to go all the time. So who has the advantage? And that's really where we're going with this, is we want to build a ball flight that consistently moves in one direction or the other. And how do we do that? You guessed it, by building a good golf swing. Remember, the golf swing is what produces the ball flight. But right away, we want to understand that the ball flight we're looking for is probably going to be some kind of a draw for a right-hander or a left-hander, and maybe the miss would be a straight ball. Does that make sense? So I know that this is kind of a hard pill to swallow for a lot of you, but the idea here is we want you playing and thinking like professionals. And so the idea here is right away, we might humor you for the first lesson to allow you to hit it straight. After that, we're probably going to ask you to make a choice, either right to left or left to right, because that ball flight is what you're going to take to the golf course so you can hit those targets and hit those greens. So that's why this repeatable golf swing, that's why this building a good golf swing concept is so important. That is the tool you're going to use to produce the ball flight on the golf course that allows you to hit the greens and fairways you need to hit to have fun and score well. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, everything we do from this point on is going to be built around that concept. We need to build a repeatable golf swing that repeats itself and is under control to produce that repeatable ball flight, which, agreed, is either going to be straight, curve to the left, curve to the right. But my preference, especially for new players, is see if we can get that ball to draw a little bit. It's a productive ball flight. It usually won't slice, but also goes a little farther, which is what a lot of my students are looking for. So again, I just wanted to bring this in to introduce you to these concepts, and I want you to understand that just like swinging hard is not always the best thing to do, trying to hit the ball straight is not always the best thing to do.